Good afternoon and welcome to the Weather Gurus channel. I'm your host Tony. Thank you for joining me. Just want to bring you a quick update. It looks as if the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season is just getting started here after a busy July and August. Calls for Noaa, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and also the National Hurricane Center have upped their hurricane forecast. Originally, they had proposed that it was only going to be a total of 18 storms. They have upped it now to 25 storms. They're thinking now up to 25 storms in an extremely active and busy season here. They're calling for 19 to 25 named storms. Now that can be either hurricanes and or tropical storms. They're calling for 7 to 11 hurricanes, of which 3 to 6 major hurricanes. Now I should stress that just because there is a tropical entity out in the Atlantic or Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico, it does not mean that these are going to actually make landfall in the United States. However, in the past 2 months, we've had Hurricane Hannah, or Tropical Storm Hannah, which made landfall in Corpus Christi, Texas, South Texas. We've had Tropical Storm Isaias, Hurricane Isaias, which made landfall on Oak Island, North Carolina, on the eastern shore there. So we've already had 2 landfalling systems in the past 2 months here, just in July and August, and that's not counting the other ones. We've had 2 make landfall as well. I think we've had Arthur, Bertha has made landfall in New Jersey coastline, Cristobal, Dolly, Edward. So the next name will be host Josephine. Now something interesting is that what they're expecting 25 storms, it is possible that we would run out of names. But if we run out of names in the Atlantic tropical names, we'll go to the Greek alphabet. So it'll be alpha, beta, gamma, delta, etc. And if we run out of the Greek alphabet, then they would go to some type of number system like they do the inverse numbers that they call the pre-storms before they become tropical depressions. They become inverse. So we'll go to a numbering system. So that's just a little idea. But you can see the increase in storm activity here. We've had, you can see the pattern here of the 2019 storms. In 2019, the year before previous, we only had 3 landfalling systems. The rest were out to sea. So that can be something that we could very well see this hurricane season, where we have a bunch of storms, but most of them curve out to sea around the Bermuda Azores high pressure system here. So just because you have a lot of storms, they're calling for 25 storms, doesn't mean all of them are going to make landfall in the continental United States or in an island. It just means that it's going to be a more active year because they're expecting less wind shear over the oceans, and warm sea surface temperatures above 87 degrees Fahrenheit causes these seasons to ramp up. And low Saharan dust. We've had Saharan dust in the previous systems, but the Saharan dust in the atmosphere has subsided now. They're no longer an issue. It's no longer an issue. So the new forecast does call for higher major hurricanes. And as you can see here, Dorian was the big one of 2019 that just wrecked the northern Bahamas, Freeport, Bahamas up in the north there with a Cat 5, 180 mile an hour winds. And the rest of the storms out here in last year were pretty much weak. Tropical Storm Barry, etc. that hit the southern Texas coastline down. So remember, the peak of the hurricane season is from mid-September, September 15th to October 15th. That's when we see the bulk of the activity and storms that are possible to make landfall in the continental United States, coming off the Cape Verde, Africa coastline, all the way across the Atlantic basin. So we're not even in the peak right now. We're already down to the J name. Next storm will be named Josephine. So we're getting there. But just to realize that doesn't mean that just because we're going to see a lot of storms, that doesn't mean they're going to all make landfall. They all could be out in the sea. But Noaa saw fit to go ahead and give you the heads up and tell you that things are going to be very active, which I agree with. Things are going to be very active because it's been very warm. And we've just had Isaias here, as you can see on the satellite photo. Isaias rolling into town, and it caused damage and caused a lot of power outages. But overall, it was a pretty good storm. But more are to come, so don't let your guard down. We're at the peak of the hurricane. We're not at the peak of the hurricane season yet. And if a storm becomes bad enough on this list, it will be retired, meaning the number of deaths and also the cost of damage. If it costs billions, $20 billion, $50 billion of damage, and or it has more than 5 or 10, 15 deaths that the hurricane caused, that name will be retired, never to be used again. The hurricane names are are designated by the World Meteorological Organization, and they rotate these names every 5 years. So every 5 years, you'll see the same names come back into play as they rotate the list. And like I said, so be prepared, for our upcoming hurricane season in the next 2 or 3 months for it to ramp up, and have all your supplies. Try to get solar lights, solar powered chargers for your phones and IDs in case you lose power, and try to shore up your house with hurricane shutters and all things, because things could get very active here after we get through these next 2 or 3 weeks. Things will start ramping up here in the hurricane season. So thank you very much. This is the Weather Guru. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, please leave them down in the link. And please make sure you be able to hit that subscribe button for more daily Weather Guru, Weather Geek content. Thank you very much. Be blessed.